Running Nation, what is good? Sixers sickos, what is good? Thanks for being here. Give me a million likes on this video. We're going to talk about all of the juicy things that came out over the weekend. Joel Embiid being on national television, doing some things, saying some things, insinuating some things. Some rumors about Paul George with the Clippers situation and how it's feeling like it's pretty much going to happen. We're going to talk about it all, but first, this is brought to you by BetUS.
BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus 10% gambler's insurance. Get started today. BetUS, where the game begins.
Listen, I thought the Boston Celtics were going to sweep. Of course, they lost game 4. Felt a little bit rigged, not going to lie to you. I predicted it. I was like, watch Boston come out and score like 70 points in game 4. You know, rarely ever see a sweep in the NBA Finals. Just a little bit fishy, right? But at the same time, the Mavericks were playing with a different level of energy than I saw in the first 3 games. And let's do this, guys. I made a video just 2 days ago kind of talking as if the Boston Celtics already won the championship. But just imagine if the Boston Celtics would pull off the biggest choke job in the history of the NBA to be up 3-0 in the finals and lose the series. So game 5 tomorrow night at 8:30, we're putting money on the Mavericks at a plus 220. Lock it in. What are we doing? 20? Where's my money at? 20 to bring back 44. That's not enough, bro. 100 to bring back 220. Let's go. Lock it in. Dallas Mavericks win game 5, and then the pressure is really on Boston for the rest of the series. Right now, you can get 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits, up to $2,000 on BetUS. Use the link in my description. Thank you to BetUS for sponsoring the channel. All right, let's go in chronological order. Okay. First, this came out. Paul George and the Clippers are reportedly not on the same page in contract negotiations from Windhorst. This is what I was saying last week, is that the rumors seem to be true that the Clippers want Paul George to sign the type of contract that Kawhi Leonard signed. Kawhi Leonard signed it. He didn't do this. He didn't say, I deserve a max contract. He didn't do any of that because he wants to stay in LA. They're both from LA. Correct me if I'm wrong, or at least from the area. But Kawhi Leonard signed the contract. Paul George seems to have a different opinion about what he deserves. Paul George seems to not be interested in signing a 3-year, $150 million, whatever contract, probably because he knows, and the NBA tries to cut down on tampering all the time, but let's be serious. Other teams are letting him know, listen, if you leave LA, we'll offer you a max. Somebody's telling him, and he knows he can get it somewhere else, and it seems like he's saying to the Clippers, listen, I'm not signing that, and if y'all ain't giving me a max, I'm going somewhere else to get my max. So those rumors seem to be true. You know, I know they're just rumors, but where there's smoke, there's fire, right? When you see the same thing repeatedly from different sources, it starts to feel like it's probably true. So after that comes out, the story here is that Joel Embiid, Paul George was scheduled to be on the broadcast, but the pregame before Game 4 the other night. Joel Embiid was not scheduled to be on the broadcast. Look, he doesn't even he's in a t-shirt. He wasn't scheduled to be on there at all. First, you gotta love Joel Embiid for his personality. He's just amazing. The story is that he saw Paul George in the hallway, and Paul was like, "Yeah, I'm doing the pregame," and Joel was like, "Oh, I'm coming too," and he invited himself onto the show. And I love it because he said some things that, you know, you don't really an anchor, somebody. If Joel was paid to be there, you know, I don't think they would want him to be saying some of these things. You can tell that Joel Embiid just randomly went on there and said whatever the hell he wanted, and it's just fantastic. But if you haven't seen it, here's what he said and why everyone's talking. That's the wrong one. Hold on. Where's it at? Oh, that's not the one. Hold on. Yeah. Hopefully this season we get better. Yeah, that's the one.
Great city, great fans.
Yeah, this is the right one.
They got some great players, but he hurts me a lot. So hopefully, this offseason we find a way to get better and, add some pieces. And,
He's sitting next to Paul George, and he glances at him. And he glances at him and says, add some pieces. And he's laughing. Paul George made no face at all. Paul's probably like, listen, I ain't getting a tampering fine, bro. You want to say whatever you want to say, go ahead and do it. Kendrick Perkins also said right after that the missing piece might be sitting right next to you. I don't know how the tampering rules work in the NBA, but it's just Joel Embiid's a national treasure, just as far as just a personality. And then he refused to give credit to the Boston Celtics. I find this hilarious too, because even I gave credit to the Boston Celtics, and I hate them. Joel Embiid hates the Boston Celtics as well.
Question. As we see the Boston Celtics getting ready to close the deal and win a championship, what does that have you thinking about as a member of the Philadelphia 76ers?
I can't stand them. I can't stand them. I hate Boston. Great city, great fans. Obviously they got some great players, but he hurts me a lot. So hopefully, this offseason we find a way to get better and, add some pieces.
So he said he hates the Boston Celtics. He also refused to acknowledge that the Boston Celtics could be starting a dynasty. He said, no, I don't think they're a dynasty. The whole East was hurt, and I'm coming next year. So, no matter what you think about Joel Embiid's health and how they've never gotten out of the second round with him, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you got to just commend his attitude towards the whole thing. He's not backing down. He's going to keep trying every single year. And if it never works, it never works, but he's never going to fold. He's never going to give in. So I love it. I respect it. But back to my camera goes out. Back to the Paul George thing, man. Can my camera turn back on, please? No edits. It's Sunday, whatever. By the way, happy Father's Day to everybody out there that is a father. Now I gotta fix this. Yeah. So the last thing I want to say is, speaking on the Paul George situation and how it's starting to feel like it is, it's kind of starting to feel like it's inevitable. I mean, it's kind of starting to feel like Paul George is coming to the Sixers. And Sixers fans, I think you need to get ready for it. Because there's a large part of this fan base that does not want it to happen. And I think I've said it plenty of times already, but Daryl Morey doesn't care what you think. You guys hit my comments every day talking about, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. They need to do this, they need to do this. Daryl Morey does not care what you think. He's going to offer Paul George a max contract. And it seems like, Paul said nice things about Joel Embiid before. If he was going to leave LA and wants to contend and wants to be a major part of a contender, Philly makes perfect sense. It really does. But here's the other side of the Sixers fan base. Here's Tom Kelly from WIP. He said it's sad to see some Sixers fans talking themselves into Paul George. I get wanting a splashy move, but deep down we all know that signing a 35-year-old career loser to a $200 million deal would be a bad decision. Here's my take on that. Paul George, I guess statistically, is a career loser. Most players that ever played in the NBA don't win a championship. It's not something that's easy to do. So I guess technically you're right in calling him that, although he's only 34 years old right now, but he will be 35 by next playoffs. Here's the thing. You can't look at the back end of a contract when you're trying to win now. You just can't do it. Look how the Phillies won the 2008 World Series. Do you think they really gave a shit that they were paying Ryan Howard $25 million in 2011 and he stunk? No, because they got the ring in 08 and they went back to the World Series in 09. When you're in win now mode, you just do what has to be done to make the team as good as you think they can possibly be for that time period. And the time period we're talking about now is pretty much the next 2 seasons, maybe the next 3 seasons. But you can't look at the end of a 4-year contract and say, well, we're going to be paying him this money when he's 39. So what? You might have ended up with an NBA championship in that span of time. That's the only way to look at it. If you're going to look at, we can't sign this player to this because of the last 2 years of the contract, there's going to be this, or that, then never sign anybody, bro. You know what I mean? That's my take on that. And also, Paul George has always been expected to be a number 1 option, a number 1 superstar team leader. He would be coming to Philly not expected to be that. Because again, maybe he is the Michael Jordan of Tobias Harris's. Maybe he's never really had the killer instinct to be the number 1 option on a championship team. But he's a damn good number 3, bro. I mean, you can't even argue that. You can't argue that. And look at what happened in the Knicks series. If you had a third option who just gave you more than fucking 0 points, Tobias Harris, you're probably in the Eastern Conference Finals. So yeah, if you put Paul George on the squad versus Tobias Harris last season, I got the Philly versus Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. It's that simple. It's not more complicated than that. But no matter if you love it or hate it, Daryl Morey's going to swing for it. And if Paul George wants that max, he's probably going to come to Philly. So you better strap in. Get ready. Hey, happy Father's Day, man. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.